Oh, look, it's a giant set of balls. What's going on over here? Look at the big scary testicle monster. Ooh.
What is this? What has this become?
It's amazing that I have these balls. I'm just saying.
Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen. Nerds International proudly presents.
We want to take you on a quest for knowledge. One that will take us from ancient medieval fantasy across the far reaches of space to the distant future. To many savage worlds.
It's time to play Savage Worlds. It's simple to learn and easy to use, known for being fast, furious and fun. You can play anything with Savage Worlds, but it's especially suited for high adventure, high energy games with a bit of pulp and fantasy. That's what I say to my friends. Anyway, let's start the episode.
Welcome to the Wild Eye Podcast, episode 56. This is a podcast dedicated to Pinnacle Entertainment Savage Worlds aimed at beginners and veterans alike. I smell of hairy wolf balls.
And that proves that Gary will read anything you write down. All right, guys.
What's going on, buddy? I haven't seen you in 2 weeks.
We hang out, Gary, once in a while. You dropped into a game on Tabletop Simulator not long ago. You had to go and run your own game. How'd that go? Don't remember, huh? Yeah. Short-term memory.
What's the last thing I did? Oh, no, yeah, it was cool.
Last Sunday. What'd you do last Sunday, Gary?
I just had to rewind the tape, man. Just give me a second. I'm still like on analog. I'm so old, I'm on analog. We haven't backed everything up to digital yet. I had to rewind the tape. It was pretty funny. We started out and Alexis hopped on a horse that she had taken with her down into the sewers, cast the levitate spell, come up behind King Nutvig's throne on a horse with a chest levitating, whoop, and right into the throne room, and then charged him and smashed him in the face with his chest on horseback. It was pretty funny.
I should point out this was in a game. This wasn't in real life. Just for any listeners that are confused by this, I did all this. Yeah, we played ICRPG. It was awesome. And then on the second, when we actually caught up to the boss, turns out he was a lich. I shrunk myself down to miniature size, annoyed the boss so that he would shout, and then jump down his throat, and then grew back to normal size.
Yeah, that's how we killed him.
It was awesome. It was a good game.
Okay.
Why do you always sound bemused when I come up with awesome plans like that, Eric? That's a good way to kill something.
Yeah.
I just want to say laughing silently is not good for a podcast, Eric. Just saying.
Yeah, sound it out. Anyway, point is... Okay, shut up. You're just like my dad. You're never impressed by the cool stuff I do.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Oh, that was actually very sweet.
That's all I wanted.
I feel like you're coming on.
That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted all this time. Anyway.
Harris, what's new and exciting? I see you got some keys to a new car. Wasn't there keys on your Facebook page the other day? You're like, I got the keys.
No, that wasn't. Sorry, that wasn't to a new car, dude. That was to our to Gamers First Sight, our new premises. Yeah. So first of all, to the listeners, please excuse my voice. It would appear that our flu viruses are as dangerous as our local wildlife here. So I'm into week 3 of this stupid flu, and which is why my voice sounds like. I don't know what it sounds like, but so far everyone's looked at me very strange tonight. So the keys that I showed on Facebook was for, my new site for the gamer program for all the kids that I work with.
Nice. It's very exciting.
So he's got the keys to the dungeons now.
Yeah.
Keys to the dungeon with the kids.
So you keep kids in a dungeon?
Yeah, no, not a dungeon. No, it's a really cool space. Actually, we're we're surrounded by some other youth-based organisations, and we've got access to things like 3D printers and virtual reality and animation and all sorts of stuff now, podcasting, video casting. Yeah, we're going to be doing some pretty amazing stuff over this next year or two in this site, and looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
Very good, mate. Right, so we got some stuff to follow up from the last show. First off, I wanted to announce, obviously, you might have noticed at the top of the show there, Gary did not call me by my old name, instead called me Alexis. That is because I've changed my name. So that's why I'm going to be using that new name from now on. So that is pretty much all I'm going to say on that matter. Next off, Eric, you mentioned before the show you've been playing Savage Worlds wrong your entire life.
Yeah.
Shaken and gang up bonuses or something like this. What the hell, man? Because I learned everything I know about Savage Worlds off you, and you were wrong. You're just like my dad.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I didn't set a good example. Last weekend, I was showing Tabletop Simulator to a bunch of guys, and you were on the game too, and it was Beasts and Barbarians, and there was a situation where there was a gang up, and gang up, of course, any other adversary over the first one will cause a +1 bonus to attack. And one of them was shaken, so I didn't count that shaken character. And after the session, Richard just told me that, well, he was really diplomatic about it, but he basically told me I was wrong. Even if you're shaken, you can still count as threatening someone for the purpose of getting a bonus. So, see, my reasoning was because they're shaken and they can't attack, they can't threaten someone, but the reasoning apparently is that even if you're shaken, it counts because the GM could spend a penny at any time to remove the shaken condition. So even if a creature is shaken, they count as part of the gang up bonus. And yeah, for 10 years, that's basically how I ran it. So I guess I was wrong. I'll have to catch up to that and remember it next time. I probably won't, but who cares, right?
I can't believe you. I just want to say, Eric, you make me sick.
That's why you never invite Richard Woolcock anywhere. Dress him up, you can't take him out. He just comes over and rains in your parade, man.
Yeah.
He handled it the right way. Usually, I bring it up right in the middle of a session. If someone's doing something wrong, I point it out like an asshole. But Richard waited. He just ran it the way I ran it during the game, and then after the game, he brought it up. Classy. So, we all learn, right?
Screw him.
He took you out into the schoolyard and showed you exactly how it was done?
Yep. Took me to school. Got schooled by a Woolcock.
Schoolcock.
I don't know what that means, but it's about time somebody showed you the error of your ways, mister.
I know, right? Manuel, did you know that?
I'm pretty sure I knew that before I met Richard, because I was a Savage Worlds GM player before I met Richard.
I'm pretty sure I knew that. Oh, I'm the coolest. Scum. Subhuman scum.
So yeah, that's it basically. I just wanted to show the error of my ways and show that I'm just like anybody else.
I've never been wrong about anything.
You're a very special little boy.
Yes.
Little boy.
Right, but now we've got some Savage Worlds news and Nerds International announcements and stuff. So let's move on.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the news. The news is incoming. Prepare yourself for the news. News! And some announcements about the Nerds International Network and the Wild Die podcast.
Yeah, any nominations came out earlier last week, and there are a few Savage Worlds related products that are nominated. There's up to 4 players. The Crystal Heart guys, the webcomic guys, they're nominated, I think, for best website. And then 7 Worlds, we had Luis on the show talk about his hard sci-fi. If you remember, I always remember it as the Torpedo episode that was Seven Worlds. So that one is nominated for Best Adventure. Probably not because of the torpedoes, but you never know. Maybe we play a small part in that nomination. And finally, a friend of the show, and we just mentioned his name, Richard Wilcock for Saga of the Goblin Horde, Best Free Game. How about that? So voting opens July 11th. So go on that site, and if you know any of these products and you like them, vote for them. Let's have them win.
Well, actually, notably absent from the podcast category was this very podcast. And I did send them the clip of Gary saying that he dreams about choking kids, but for some reason that didn't get us nominated, and I don't know what's going on over there. It's just
that's surefire material right there. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we even sent the Aliens versus Rednecks adventure, and it didn't get a nomination, so sorry.
I think they must be blind and stupid over there. And deaf.
Okay, so there goes any nomination we're ever going to get. Do they even have a podcast category over there that we can be in?
Yeah, they do.
There is.
They do. Oh. You should hear some of the rubbish that got nominated. No, I want to say a big congratulations to all of those guys. Very, very well done. And I was really, really chuffed to see Richard and Saga of the Goblin Horde on there, because you know my feelings on that. Best damn Goblin game.
Nice. I'd like to say congratulations to the Savage Worlds GM's Hangout for their nomination, and the Rocky Mountain Savages for being in there with them.
The GM Hangouts didn't get a nomination because it's not running anymore. It ended. It's not going anymore, which is a shame. When are they going to bring that back? All right, so next up we are going to take it to the edge with a discussion on dramatic tasks. I know how much you love these, Gary, but Paris, you've got some questions, haven't you? You've got some real questions.
Yes, I do.
So let's get on with it.
You're listening to the Wild Die Podcast. 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 Listen 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 to the Wild Die Podcast.
Dramatic tasks. So what we're going to do is answer some of Paris's questions about it. He seems to be struggling with it. I do struggle with it a little bit too, depending. So we can discuss it, and I asked everybody on the show to come up with an example of a dramatic task, just to give some ideas to people, and also for Gary to actually run us through a dramatic task. So live, we're gonna play this out and see how dramatic it is. Maybe some music in the back, some James Bond or Mission Impossible music in the back.
Well, some royalty-free James Bond-like music. Yes, that's what we'll do.
Yes.
But
exactly.
I think what we'll do. I've actually done a very big courtesy here, and I've made a jingle because I love a dramatic task. So I made a jingle. I spent at least a minute on this one. So Gary, if you could play this for us, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Metallica.
Dramatic tasks. As I said, I didn't spend the longest amount of time on that one.
How is this relevant?
Well, that's just it. It doesn't have really any relevance either.
Was that some royalty-free Metallica music?
It was some royalty-free background metal music, yes, that I downloaded. I didn't even make the backing track this time. So I've got to be honest. Look, I'm sorry. I'll cut all of that. Sorry. Carry on.
I think the dramatic part was the handicapped special kid that was in the background with his lighter held up in the air, going la 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 la.
Oh, good times.
And now we just became offensive. All right.
Give us an any.
I was waiting for the punchline to that jingle the whole time. It was good though. It was good music.
Well, that's because I didn't make it. But the thing is that you've got to understand, Eric, that I haven't made a jingle in a while. I'm out of practice, so I just thought I'd try my luck, try my hand at making one. Hasn't worked out, has it? So let's just move on. All right, just go with it.
So much great content so far. It's very informative.
Very any-worthy, I would say.
All right, Paris. So what's up?
All right. So dramatic tasks I've had plenty of dramatic tasks in my games over the past 30 years. So I've never felt the need for a mechanic. But now that there is one in Savage Worlds, there's been one for a while, I've tried to use it a couple of times and it's always felt kind of clunky to me. It's my fault, obviously, because I hear dramatic tasks come up a lot and people use it a lot. So first of all, I want to ask you guys like how it's supposed to work in terms of the way it's laid out in the book, and then I'll ask some ideas that I have for dramatic, or where I could use dramatic tasks in other areas. But the problems I have is, I don't know, the 5-round thing feels very artificial to me. Because normally with exploding dice and stuff, it's usually over in about 2 rounds. Maybe I'm doing that wrong too. And the clubs, is it only the person that's doing the main dramatic task that gets the complication, or is it when any club comes up? They're my first couple of questions.
Well, how about Manuel, since he knows how Shaken and Gang Up works, and he's the new professional now, expert. Come on, show off.
Manuel, the rules maven, Sam.
Manuel Scott.
The clubs apply to the acting character.
So only the acting character.
Only the acting, at least according to Raw. So, according to Raw, as far as I see it, the a dramatic task is usually made at a penalty of -2 for all the rolls, as a sort of standard difficulty, because it is a dramatic task. So there should be some risk to it, and according to the rules as written, the -2 modifier doesn't even apply to the people making cooperative rolls. So they can make them, they can support the main acting character, which usually is then enough to offset the -2 penalty they make it with. And if you draw a clubs card, that inflicts a complication, which means if you fail that roll, the complete dramatic task fails, and you fail. And it also inflicts another -2 penalty on the roll. So instead of if you're using a standard -2, then with a club's card, you get a complication and you're rolling at -4. So those cooperative rolls better be coming in high on that round.
So what makes a dramatic task though? Because I thought everything we did in a role-playing game was dramatic, at least when it comes to combat or particular action scenes. So when do I apply a dramatic task? When is it that I as the GM should be applying that?
For me, it's 2 things. One, if there's a consequence for failure that might make it impossible after that to try again, or there's a time limit to the task. So if you can't meet any of those criteria, to me, it's not really dramatic.
Okay. All right. So, and does a dramatic task have to have... So you mentioned the time factor. So I'm assuming you're talking about like a bomb about to go off, or you've got to shut a door before a horde or a big flood comes or something like that. That's a dramatic task. So
yes.
What you're talking about. Okay. So can combat be added to a dramatic task?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have one, like Manuel said, the principal actor, the one who's going to be performing. Let's say they give the example of a ritual in there. Let's say someone has to perform a ritual to close a portal, but meanwhile there's a combat going on around. There's demons or whatever. So the rest of the group would be taking care of the combat while the caster or the priest or whatever performs a ritual. So you can mix the two.
We once did a boxing match as a dramatic task, just so that it was something that was really quick, and they had loads of money riding on it. And basically, we had the one guy in the ring, and then other people could roll and help out by people throwing peanuts into the ring to try and get the guy to trip up and things like this, and try to distract the other boxer. So yeah, you can do it.
So for that situation, if the boxer failed the dramatic task, he would just lose the match.
Yeah, you would lose the match and then lose all of the money that they bet on it. Basically, that was it. But it was just so that we didn't have to play out a boxing match as a full combat and have all the other people be kind of bored watching him fight, kind of thing. It was just to make it quicker, but that was basically it. But yeah, I think a combat, if you're trying to do it really quick, rather than just having it be 2 fighting roles and go, okay, yeah, you won the match, and then describing it, it would make it a bit more dramatic, as it were. So yeah, that was why.
Oh, good idea. I like that.
So I guess like I've used dramatic task as written out in the book and as you kind of explain it. So I had a situation where some characters were trying to open a locked armory to get weapons, and they were being attacked by these animals. So half the crew would try, half the group were trying to hold back the animals while the other guys quickly or tried to unlock this weapons cabinet. So that would be the definition of a dramatic task within this setting. What I found, though, was with the mechanics, I didn't feel it was dramatic. I actually felt the mechanics made it an undramatic thing. So how do you use that dramatic rule to make the game itself more dramatic, more exciting? Well, what do you guys do to make that happen?
Well, first, I would ask you, so, okay, in that situation, what was the end game? What would happen if they had failed that dramatic task? What would have happened?
They would have had no firearms to fight off the zombies.
See, I think that's where you made it not as dramatic as you should have. Yeah, the end game could have been, now they're surrounded and they're taken away by these guys that they were fighting, or maybe the room, the cabinet they were in was actually like a sort of elevator or a lift, and it would just plummet and disappear, and now they'd lose total access to it. Or maybe it would blow up as a safety feature or something like that. It's the end game.
When I first started to use dramatic tasks, I saw it used once when my good buddy Nick, who used to be on the show, he was new to Savage Worlds, and he used it for something minor like that, and we were like, that's kind of weak sauce. All it did was really protract something that could have been done with one roll. And then I remember from that point onwards, I stopped using them because I was like, it didn't make it feel dramatic, it just made it felt longer. And then I remember speaking to Gary once, and he gave me some really nice advice, and he said that this isn't always the case, but this is a very good rule of thumb, is that when you're using dramatic tasks, try to use it when the consequences are going to be dire, because then players, even if you're not doing anything extra that's special, players will not want to fail, and because they'll be like, okay, well, I don't want this thing to happen. For example, it could be if you're, the example it gives in the book, as far as I recall, is disarming a bomb. You know, if round one, you cut, if you roll a couple of successes, or you cut through the wire, but then let's say the complication comes up, or now you get through to a new set of wires, and now, you know, you don't know which one to cut. You've never seen a brown wire before, so what do you do? And then that's it. Then that's how you go through it. You describe each round as it comes up and things like this, and that's what makes it really dramatic. Like, the consequences should be, you know, one of you's going to die, you're going to lose a hell of a lot of equipment, or things like this. You know, it should be really, really dire.
So, can characters die if the dramatic task is not done?
Oh, yeah. Or they can get
that's how we do it. Kings of Convenience, right? Kings of Convenience, that last episode going through the shark gauntlet. And we failed it. We still landed on the other side, but one character died on the way there, got taken out by a shark. So
yeah, and I didn't even roll for damage. I just rolled for which one died.
Yeah, that's actually one of the examples in the core book is a dramatic task that regarding some kind of ritual or closing of a rift which would spawn a greater demon or something, and they fail, and it basically means, everybody dies.
Okay.
So if you wanted to make it dramatic in real life, you could always get one of those like cigar clippers. They used to cut the end of it and just have your kids put their fingers in those because, they got 5 of them, right? And there's usually 5 rolls. So anytime they fail, just off with the finger. That's dramatic.
Gary, I think that you're very, very good at doing dramatic tasks, and you know a lot about this, and that's the advice that you've come up with so far.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's how you make it dramatic in real life.
Okay. I've got to say, I'm a little disappointed.
Sorry.
So
I'm a little hungover.
Yeah, me too, man.
So I'm assuming on a dramatic task, the players are supposed to be on the edge of their seat with every card draw. Would that be right?
That's why you throw things like death on the line. If you don't succeed at this dramatic task, you're dead and gone. Or I'm going to clip your finger off. Your choice.
Yeah, and you should also, every time you pull a card, even if they're doing really well, even if they got 4 successes by round 2, it should be dramatic in the way that they're succeeding. It should be like, okay, well, you rolled an explosion, and it's like, okay, well, you're disarming the bomb masterfully. Everyone around you is cheering, things like this. I don't know, whatever it may be, whatever the case may be. But my point is that you should, it should be dramatic either way. I find that dramatic tasks can be really swingy. They either go really bad or really well. In the entire time I played Solomon Kane, I did quite a few, and they succeeded all of them. I find they're quite easy to succeed, but the consequences are dire, and that's what they really want to avoid. Players will always spend bennies, and dice will explode. But the thing is that's what you want to avoid is the consequences. And you could also do an extended one as well if you want it to be harder.
I guess the first thing that jumped into my mind as you were describing that was, aren't we taking, when we've talked about player agency a lot and railroads, isn't a dramatic task taking away a lot of agency from the players then?
How?
Okay. Well, because if they fail, they're dead. There doesn't seem to be, there's only 2 options. That's not agency, that's yes or no.
That's when I like to scream, agent this.
Well, a dramatic task where the end is where the failure consequences everybody dies, that should really be the culmination of a campaign, or if it's a one shot, like the last thing they do that evening. That's not something that should come up regularly. The failure consequence of a dramatic task should be significant in the context of the session. So if it's the last session of a campaign and literally life and death are on the line, then that could be a possible consequence, but it shouldn't be the consequence of the 3rd session of a campaign. And then, if you fail, we're just going to start over, make new characters.
You also don't have, despite the fact that the book says it, you also don't have to tell them what the consequence is. Because you could just, let's say, for example, in again, I'm always going to bring this up, but the point is, in my Solomon Kane campaign, there was a bit where I did a dramatic task for them they had this flying machine that was made by Da Vinci. Yes, alright, sorry everyone, I'm an idiot the way I run games. And it was basically like a thing they had to pedal, and it had a helicopter blade on the top. And they were pedaling it to go over a body of water to then get to where this mountain was, and inside was a beast that they were going to kill, right? And as they were going over the body of water, a sort of massive stormy weather started up, and they were trying to navigate this thing to get there, and there was lightning, thunder, it became like really difficult to fly. And that was going to be a dramatic task. I think the consequences are obvious, but depending on what they do during the dramatic task, I don't think it should be one failure state. I think it can change depending on what actually happens. So I don't say, this is what happens if you fail. I think you can just leave it open and ambiguous. You don't have to say, this is what happens if you fail, if you have a problem with that particular aspect of it.
All right. No, before, it's so dramatic. No, I'll get to that bit in a second. First, I want to discuss the club. Right. So the in-game consequence makes it a -4 to the roll. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Minimum, because the -2, the standard -2, they say at least a -2. It could be higher than the usual -2 to begin with. So it's a further -2 penalty.
Okay. So with them inferring that, what I guess what they're insinuating is that you put the penalty on it that you think suits the difficulty or the tension, I guess. So how do you gauge how hard something is? At what point do you gauge that on the character in terms of their skill? Do you gauge that on the situation? Like if they're, how do I explain? So let's say a nuclear bomb's about to go off, right? But the characters are not, they might be bomb disposal technicians, but they're not nuclear bomb disposal technicians. Would that change anything? What I'm saying is, it sounds like some of these dramatic tasks, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to fail, depending on what the task is that you're put at. Or am I reading it wrong?
Well, I think modifiers in Savage Worlds are basically standard for any task. It's -2, that's a standard difficult task. -4 is very difficult, and if you give a -6, that's like near impossible. I usually only use -2, -4, depending. If it's very difficult, it'll be -4. Standard difficult -2. So that goes along with basically any modifiers that you can put in your session.
So also with the club, do you add anything else? So let's take our bomb technician again. So if a club comes up, and let's say it's a 2 of clubs, which is the worst card, would you say something like he's dropped his pliers and they've gone out of reach, and that changes what he's got to do? Like, do you change the actions that they have to do to then add to the successes?
Of course.
For that situation,
how do you do that?
For that situation, what I would do is just say, oh, there's a second timer that comes on, and now it's only got 5 seconds left to it. That's your complication right there. Now you need to, take care of that problem, or else the bomb's going to go off in 5 seconds. The end of this round.
Yeah, it can be anything you want. It really is up to you. That's the fun of it. It can be literally anything. I mean, if on that flying bit, a complication actually did happen, and I said the wind starts getting worse, and then that was it. It's a nice, easy, simple one, and now it's making it harder for you guys to fly, and that was it.
Okay, so that explains why things got harder to roll.
Yes.
You narrate something.
It's part of the narrative. It will depend from, situation to situation, what kind of task you're in.
It's a complication. It can be absolutely anything. If you're defusing the bomb, maybe you shit yourself.
Okay.
Fair enough. Does it always have to be life and death to be dramatic, though? And aren't there levels of drama? So, for instance, while I was lying in my sickbed today getting ready for this podcast, I was watching Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and in the opening sequence you see that the scene with River Phoenix, and he gets the hat, and as he lifts his head up you see now the older Indiana Jones, and he's now trying to recover that necklace on the deck of a boat, Nazi boat, whatever it is. And when I watched him bounce around, jumping, trying to get to this thing sliding across the deck, punching a guy in the face, jumping over a box, couldn't that be a dramatic task?
Well,
yes, absolutely.
Instead of it being a fighting role and all.
But it can be anything. Sorry? It can be absolutely anything. But the thing is, we all came with examples. We all wanted to give you an example of a different way it could be used, because it's a dramatic task. It's not called a life and death task, but we've all got an example each to give you, so that you go away with something. So that's what we got. We all got examples. So first off, we'll start with Manuel. What's your example to give to Paris of a good dramatic task?
Pressure's on. Last time Paris was here, I gave him herpes, so I can't give him that again.
My example is going to be an escape from a space station that is blowing up around you. So you have only a very limited amount of time to navigate the halls and corridors. Stuff is exploding around you everywhere, and you need to get to your shuttle in the docking bay.
Very good idea.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Classic. And Eric, how about you, my dog?
Well, I was thinking zombie apocalypse. You're stuck inside a building, maybe, I don't know, 9-story building, and you receive a call on your radio from one of your friends. He says, I just landed on top of the building. I'm going to come pick you up, but I don't know how long I can stay here. I'm getting surrounded here. I can't ward them off any longer. Please make it to the top as fast as you can. So you have to make your way up the building before that guy leaves. Otherwise, you're stuck in the building surrounded by a zombie horde.
That's very good.
So you don't necessarily die, but you're left in a very tough situation if you don't make it.
Awesome. And Gary, how about you, my man?
Well, we'll save him for last because he's actually going to run us through it. What about yours?
Yeah. I've actually got an example of one that happened in a Fallout game that we played the other day. Because we essentially there was two guys that were gambling for a piece of armor, and both of them put up the stakes of. One of them said he wanted the piece of armor that belonged to the character's name was Gary Busey, and Gary Busey put up his armor, and then the character Sid put up his gun, right? But obviously you could just both roll gambling and then have it done, right? But instead, my brother played it as a dramatic task, and they were playing a baseball card game called Roogie's Stump, and we just played it as a dramatic task. And as he put down the first card, Peter rolled his gambling skill, and then he got 3 raises on it with the -2. And then my brother started describing it, and he was like, okay, you lay down Babe Ruth, and you managed to get some amazing batting energy cards, and you are now getting the lead. And on the second inning, it's now your turn to pitch. And he puts down the next card, and blah, blah. And then he narrated this entire game of Roogie's Stump, of him playing against Gary Busey. And obviously the consequence of him losing is that he loses the only weapon that he's got, and that was it. So yeah, that's another way of doing it, and it made this card game that they were playing against each other way more dramatic, as opposed to it just being, oh, you roll your gambling, okay, you won, give him your gun. That was a way to use it. So yeah, that's my example.
Cool. That's a clever way of doing it. All right, Gary, you ready to do this?
What's that? What are we doing?
Actually, sorry, can I ask some questions about the 3 scenarios that you gave?
Sure.
So, Manuel's yours. Every character then has to get 5 successes, is that right?
No. With a dramatic task, you have one character who is the lead character who makes the main role, and everybody can contribute with a cooperative role. So in my example, there would be one guy who is actually doing the navigating. Everybody else is just following him, but they might point out obstacles. They might fight off guards that appear on crossways they encounter, stuff like that.
So then everybody survives or everybody dies?
It's not a life and death scenario in that it's just you have to reach the docking bay before the shuttle leaves you want to get on. So if you don't, you are stuck on a space station that's about to explode. So you need to find another way off, which could be trying to get to the escape pods, try to hijack another ship that's there, something like that.
Okay, sorry. I understood that it was you either succeed the dramatic task or you die. That's the
no.
It exploded. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
And no, that's all right. And so in your zombie one there, Eric, is that the same thing? They either all get to the chopper or nobody gets to the chopper.
Yeah, I would use agility, and like if they get a complication, I could say that maybe a stairwell collapses and now they have to find a different way. Or if they fail right there, they get buried under rubble right in the stairwell.
So you can't use a dramatic task for some to succeed and some to fail. It's all or nothing either way.
Yeah, or people could split into 2 groups. I just think it gets really tedious if you're trying to run 4 or 5 different dramatic tasks. Might as well just make it one. It's team building, right? So someone could elect not to take part of it too, but in that case, they automatically suffer the consequences, I'd say. If they don't want to reach the top, then they're going to be stuck in the building, and the chopper's going to leave without them.
Okay.
All right, are we gonna play your dramatic task now, Gary? You ready to do this? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been waiting forever, the whole show, just to get this one point, this one final huzzah.
All right. All right, so we got our pre-gen. I've got the scout from Last Parsec here, the little dude with the turban and stuff. So
I've got Young Juice. He's a rapper from modern day London.
And I've got Hammer, the street samurai from the Daring Tales of the Sprawl pre-generates.
Cool.
What do you got, Paris?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was meant to get a character.
Yeah, sure. You can play too.
So now that you guys have taken the time to go and get all of your pre-generated characters, I'd like you to rip them all up and throw them away. You're just going to have grade 6, and I'm going to set the scene for you. So you are all young ladies, and by young ladies, I mean preteens, maybe 10 to 13 years old, and you go to this private school. And in this private school, in order for you to, that was Sarah, I believe. Alexis is Sarah. Paris, you're Wanda. Eric, you're going to be playing Betty, and Manuel, you are a German exchange student whose name is Gertrude and has a very deep voice. So, that said, you guys aren't the greatest students in school. You spend a lot of time on your cell phones, not really paying attention to much. So, if you don't get this project that you've all been put together to do properly, you're not going to pass the year, and Gertrude's going to probably be sent home, which would be devastating. But that's what happens when you're an exchange student and you don't do well in school, or drugs or drink. You get shipped home.
Or live with Gary.
Or you get shot over to my house. So, in cooking class, your teacher has tasked you with baking a cake. Now, I don't know if you guys know much about baking cakes, but let me tell you, being a fat old guy, I know a lot about cakes. Angel Food Cake in particular has this really special property when you're baking it, that if you bounce around or open the oven or do anything, it just goes flat. But you guys got to do this. It needs to be done. You need to get A's in this, or you're going to have to repeat the grade.
Wow. That's harsh.
Listen, Betty, this is life, all right? Life is not easy.
Home ec or fail, huh?
Ec or fail. Gertrude numerous times she's life is not easy, my friend. Right, Gertrude?
Yes, that is very right.
See, I told you, Gertrude is a German exchange student with a very deep voice. So we're gonna put this all on. Hold on, I look over my cheat sheet here. It's gonna be all on Wanda. Paris, you're Wanda, by the way, just so you know. All right. So
Alexis was Sarah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Sarah.
Yeah, Alexis,
Yeah,
Sarah,
and Manuel's Gertrude.
Wanda, Eric's Betty, and Manuel's Gertrude. So you've decided that you haven't decided. You've been told by your teacher, man, it's home ec or fail. Gertrude is like on the last string of being in this country. She's going to be deported back to Mexico, where she's from. And you've got to make this cake, and it's got to be done well. But here's the problem. When you all wind up at Betty's house, Betty's mom was in a horrible car accident. She's become horribly disfigured. She was, burned in a fire, all sorts of things. But the worst part about it is that she didn't get the ingredients needed. So, in that you young ladies are the geniuses that you are, you've decided to break into the neighbor's house and use their baking supplies in order to cook this cake. Okay, scene set.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So, We're not going to need to deal initiative here, but you're going to have to crack your dice out. It's a good thing I've already shuffled the cards. Now you're in your neighbor's house, Betty's neighbor. Betty, what is your neighbor lady? Is she's a sweet lady? She's a nasty lady? Maybe she's a gun-toting hillbilly? I don't know why she would have supplies to make a beautiful American.
Let's see here. The neighbor, she's a cat lady, so there are cats everywhere.
Oh, that is not good, because there could be cat hair in this angel food cake that you're trying to make.
Or we might get attacked by cats.
Maybe. Okay, so either way, we're going to see what happens here. Are you ready for this? You got your die out. Don't forget your wild die, because you guys are wild cards. All right. So
skill 6, is that right?
Would you guys like to? Okay, well, let's just set the scene. So you're in the neighbor's house trying to bake this angel food cake. There's cats and cat hair everywhere. The crazy neighbor lady is not at home at this particular moment in time. So we're going to start with instead of starting with Wanda, we're going to start with Sarah. Sarah, is there some way that you would like to help?
Yeah, Sarah's going to run around the house trying to gather ingredients, looking at all the cupboards, and she's like, Wanda, what do we need to make a cake? Is it eggs or some shit? Wanda!
Hold on, I'm trying to Don't shout at me, Sarah! Oh my god, my voice. Sarah, if you weren't so busy just rubbing Gary's balls, we'd already have the ingredients. You're supposed to be helping Betty. Stop yelling.
What is it? We need eggs, flour,
sugar.
All right.
We need vanilla essence.
I'm going to roll some investigation, Sarah, which is of course your D6. So just roll your 2D6s and tell me what you got.
6.
All right, so that's going to be 1 success, which is going to allow Wanda to add that +1 to her cake baking skills. Now we're going to shoot over to Gertrude. What's Gertrude doing while this is going on? You got 2 nutty teenage ladies yelling at each other in the kitchen. The foreign exchange student from Germany, who's usually fairly cool-headed, has decided that in order for her to help out, she's going to...
Question. Well, what was the investigation role for?
She was investigating the cupboards. Just never mind, Richard Wilcock.
Aren't we supposed to teach people?
We're showing them how to do it wrong.
Okay. All right. Never mind.
Gertrude, what's happening, Gertrude?
What am I supposed to do?
Is there a way in which you would like to help Wanda bake this cake?
So I'm just using a cooperative role.
Yes. Come on, give it the.
Yeah, funny thing, in Germany, cooking is actually still taught in some schools.
That is so funny, dude. Sorry, man.
Not that Gertrude would have been paying attention back home. Well, she's not paying attention in the US. Well, would she be paying attention at home? But some things barely stuck, like mixture rates and how to use a blender or something. So yeah, she can chime in with a few useful hints.
Okay, so maybe you're going to spend your time trying to find a mixer or something like that in and amongst the cupboards while Sarah is looking for the ingredients. You're going to look for the actual like tools to make this thing. Maybe you don't have an angel, because you do know that angel food cake has a very specific look to it. You guys don't know that, do you? Nope. You're not cake connoisseurs.
Isn't it just a vanilla cake?
No. How dare you? How dare you insult the American icon that is angel food cake? What the hell?
I'm looking at one on the Google. It looks rubbish.
This is really bad.
This is the longest. This is the longest dramatic task I've ever played, and we're not even through round 1.
All right, let's keep going.
Do we want to start again, really quick?
No.
Wow, it is freaking vanilla. It's just white.
Yeah, this is a white cake, Gary. It is a vanilla cake. Right. I'm looking at the recipe.
This is the reason that you little ladies are going to fail. You see what's going on right here? One of you's not paying attention. The other one thinks that an angel food cake is just like a regular white-ass cake. No wonder you're not going to...
I'm looking at it now. Regular white ass cake.
This explains why you guys, it's home ec or fail. Manuel, roll those dice. Let's see if you can find yourself some mixing tools to help bake this cake.
Oh, wow. So that is a 9. So 1 success and 1 raise.
Nice. All right. 9. So add another plus.
9.
I'm so pleased it took this long for somebody to make that crap joke.
All right, Betty. What's Betty doing while all of this looking for stuff is going on?
So there are cats everywhere, and they're getting. She's in the kitchen too, right? We're supposed to bake that in that woman's place. We can't just bring the stuff back to my house.
Nobody said that you couldn't. I'm not taking away your agency. Maybe you need to find stuff first. And all of a sudden now you're like, hey, Betty comes up with the brilliant idea that, hey, maybe we shouldn't bake this cake in this house and we should take it back to my house. So now you've just become petty thefts, but they're thieves, but that's cool. All right, so that's going to be your contribution to this deal? Coming up with this smart idea to go back to your own house? Maybe.
Well, the thing is, she's not. My neighbor's not home right now, but we don't want to find out her to find out that we were here. But now, someone let open the door, and some of the cats went out, and we don't want that. We don't want her to come home and find out that she's missing 3 of her 17 cats, right? So I got to get those cats back. So maybe survival.
Sure.
All right.
Well, maybe take a can of tuna, maybe shake some kibbles and bits or something like that you found laying around. Scoop them.
What's that noise?
Then I roll. All right. I rolled a 5, so that'll give a +1.
Okay.
To Wanda. All right.
Do you feel the tension, Wanda? Do you feel the dramaticness of the situation right now?
They're usually much quicker. They're usually much quicker than this, Paris. This is like we're playing an actual game, but except there's cards there for some reason.
Paris lost it.
Broke parents. Come on.
I can't. Oh my god.
Oh my god, this is the most dramatic white vanilla cake I've ever seen. All right.
There's your card, buddy.
I got a
9 of spades. Okay.
9 was
Have it upside down? Sorry.
9.
Shut up, man.
Gertrude yells from the back room. 9.
All right, so
okay. Wait. Stop.
You get +3 to your roll because everybody was successful this round.
So I get how many tomorrow?
+3.
Just before you do your roll, Paris, I'm looking at the ingredients for angel cake here, whatever it's called, angel vanilla, whatever. Okay, 1 cup of flour, salt, egg whites, sugar, and vanilla extract. It's just a vanilla cake, Gary.
Listen, this is the reason that you guys are going to fail home ec. We've been over this already.
So you keep saying, but I'm just saying that I think you're giving this cake a lot of props when it's just a really basic vanilla cake. Sorry.
And Gertrude, you might as well start packing a bag, lady.
Paris, do your roll.
Yeah, I did. I rolled snake eyes.
Wow.
Doesn't that mean the dramatic task automatically fails?
No.
Oh, never mind then.
That was a good question, though, because I didn't know.
Yeah, what happens now? That's a critical fail. But I mean, technically, it's not. Because it's just a 1 is really all you rolled, right? It's not a critical fail. Yeah. You got a 1 minus 2 plus 3, so you failed this round.
All right. Yeah. So we're now into round 4 with no successes, yeah?
Yeah, you're kind of standing. We've got 4 more rounds to go.
My God.
4 more rounds of it.
4 more rounds.
See,
this is dramatic. I'm very tense right now.
This is the reason that you guys are all poor Gertrude, man. I feel Gertrude just starts crying, I think. Can we have a tear, Manuel?
Look at me. I'm at the edge of my seat right now.
Look, we have to sell all these angel food cakes so we can make enough money to do the plastic surgery on poor Betty's face because
Betty's mom's face
was on fire and someone put it out with a hammer and we just can't have her looking like that anymore.
Yeah, right, but I don't even know what angel food cake is. Was it like a vanilla cake?
It's really special vanilla.
Oh, well, sounds disgusting. If I saw one of those, I'd kick it into the bin.
I'm really dramatically tense right now. Can we hurry along?
9 of diamonds.
9 of diamonds. Roll up some cooking skills, well, because you guys are all arguing, and one of you has left and is chasing cats around the backyard miserably. The other one is still looking in the cupboards. Gertrude's just in tears at this particular moment in time.
I got a 3. I bring back a pot of coffee.
Hold on.
Is this go in the cake? I don't know. It looks nice. What is it, coffee?
It's not a coffee cake.
What's a cake?
It's got to stop. Oh my god. I just rolled 6, 12. I rolled a 15. I had 2 explosions.
Wow.
See how dramatically tense I was? I got 2 explosions.
Yeah. Second round. I think let's take it back to Wanda. How does Wanda see what happens here? Because this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like everybody's kind of losing their business. Betty's out chasing cats around. You're just really losing control of the situation right up until this round. But things just sort of came together for you. How did Betty just rein the situation right in? Wanda has just reined the situation right in.
So Gertrude used those special those muscles of hers to lift the Kenwood mixer up onto the bench at my level, right?
She found a really heavy mixer.
And Sarah found a bag of flour that hadn't been used as a kitty litter yet. So we finally had some flour to cook with. So I was really excited because we weren't trying to make a chocolate chip cake, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Really excited. So she's got the flour. And it just so happens that Betty's back with 2 cats stuffed under her arm. And she's really happy, and she's ready to help us now mix the cake. Like, she didn't want to miss out on the whole licking of the spoon bit.
Right. That's good. So you've pretty much nailed all the ingredients. So and the cakes are almost.
We might do that after we make the cake. And how did you know I was into that?
I don't know, but that's cool. The wooden spoon licking thing was kind of a dead giveaway. As Betty walks into the door from the backyard with these 2 cats that she's wrangled, Gertrude is in the corner crying still, not really doing much. Sarah is holding a bag of coffee, and you're sort of trying to wrangle the gears up. You hear from outside.
Oh, a club.
The lady has just arrived at the house.
Oh my god! Sarah's Randy boyfriend is here. That's not going to help us make a cake.
This is not Sarah's Randy boyfriend. This is the lady that owns the house, the hillbilly next door neighbor lady.
Oh no!
The crazy cat lady has just pulled in the driveway, and the 4 of you are in her house.
That's not my boyfriend. That's not my boyfriend at all.
It looks like it.
Don't you dare! Right, let's cheese it. Let's take the cake mix and let's bring it back to your house and cook it in the oven.
The oven?
I don't know what that thing's called. You know, the heat machine. My mum always uses it to put my sausages in.
Shut up!
You shut up! You shut up! She's coming! It's so dramatically tense, I'm gonna explode! Let's go!
You're not even pretty!
You're not even pretty! I start pulling her hair.
I'm going to give Betty and Sarah a Betty for their excellent role-playing skills, sir. You guys nailed all the young preteen ladies to a T, I think. So it's time to get out of this house, man. It's time to sort of turn tail and run. There's 1 cat out. Maybe you'll get lucky, but you're going to have to make this roll at a -4. So far, you've got 3 successes, but this is going to be tough, man, getting out of the house before Crazy Cat Lady walks in the front door, because you know that Crazy Cat Lady carries one of those sawed-off shotguns. In fact, 2 of them, 1 on each hip at all times.
America.
Are you sure we shouldn't have gone to the other neighbor's house?
Oh, you mean Gordon Ramsay?
All right, so what are we rolling now? We're rolling what?
I don't know. Let's see. Well, whatever it is, it's going to be at a -4. So do you have a skill to book it?
Agility.
Agility? Is that what I'm rolling? I got a 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep up, Harris.
Oh, 6 and 4. I got a 10. All that cheerleading has been really good for me.
All right. 10 -4 is 6. So that's going to be another success. So you guys managed to make it out of the house.
We're at 4 successes now.
4 successes. And
we got 2 rounds left.
Yeah, this is good. All right, so you guys hightail it out of the backyard. And just as the back door closes, you hear the front door open. So you've made it out of the house. You make it through the backyard into your own house's kitchen, where Betty it starts to break down in tears because, she just realizes that her mom's been pounded in the face with a hammer that was on fire, and she's going to have a bit of a meltdown. But that said, let's see what round 4 brings. Oh, look at Betty has a meltdown in the kitchen. She starts maybe screaming and kicking and carrying on, and maybe she spills a bit of the flour on the floor, something along those lines. But that's okay. You're going to use your professional scooping skills and scrape this flour up off of the ground and sift it so that there's no extra floor bits stuck in this cake. So let's see if you can do another cooking skill at a -4 again, round 4.
All right, so we can help her out.
At -4, I got a 0.
Yeah.
Cooperative.
Yeah. Is anyone helping me get this stuff off the floor?
I think everybody can cooperate except for Betty, because Betty's just kind of being a bitch right now.
Sarah, use those awesome sucking skills of yours to help us get the flour off the floor.
What are you trying to say? All right. What she's going to do is she's just going to try to get a bowl out of the cupboard and just scoop it up. And I'm going to spend a penny on that because I got a 4. So yeah, I've still got 4. So 4. So I got +1.
Wow. So if the German school system has taught Gertrude anything, it is stupid, brainless, repetitive tasks like scooping up 1 spoon of a flour at a time, then sifting it. So she's really good at that, and she scored a 10.
Wow, that's going to be another success. Nice. Betty, you're in the kitchen, tears streaming down your face, thoughts of your poor hospitalized mother.
I thought it was Betty that got burnt.
No, they were in Betty's house. Not Betty. It was Betty's mom.
Oh, Betty, I'm so sorry. Your mother's face. We're going to get the cake.
The hammer when it was on fire.
It's fine. Betty's face just looks like that naturally.
Shut up!
You shut up, scum! You're not even good at netball.
All right, so Betty's still alcohol. Betty just breaks down crying in the kitchen. Betty lights a smoke. If my mom's gonna look like she's on fire, so am I. And Betty just lights her face on fire with some cooking oil in the kitchen.
What the hell? Where is this coming from?
Anyways, so yeah, you roll. You got -4 to this one because you got a 3 of clubs, dude. This is your second in a row.
I rolled that. I got a 0. I got a because I rolled a 4. 4 -4 is 0, and then we've got +1 from Alexis and +1 from Manuel. I'm waiting. No, I got +2 from Manuel, so I'm waiting to see what Eric does. So
I can't do anything.
Betty.
Yeah, Gary just said that Eric can't do anything for some reason.
Yep, you're just gonna.
I hate you. I hate you, dude.
This is choo-choo. Eric, go sit in the corner.
So this is player agency in the works.
Yeah, this is player agency at its absolute finest. Eric, you can't do anything because Gary says that your character's crying for some reason.
I just want to throw that in there.
Take that, Eric.
The final round? Was that the final round?
This is the final round. Can you feel the tension?
With the.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Oh, what is this?
It's a queen.
It's a queen of hearts.
Queen of hearts for the final round.
Final round. Fight.
We need 1 more success.
4 successes, 5th round. The tension is running hot.
I got 3, guys.
Speaking of 3.
3, yeah.
What happens here? See, this is maybe why your dramatic tasks aren't so dramatic. You're supposed to let the other people help you out before you start rolling the dice. But I see how it is. I see how your stuff's working there.
Yeah,
so that's going to be
stupid man.
That's going to be a fail. I'm just going to you say it, you play it, buddy. Your dramatic task has failed. You didn't sift enough flour. The lady comes in from next door and she's like, "Right, you let me cat out." And then she just starts opening fire on all of you and leaves you all shotgunned in a bloody mess on the floor. Dramatic task over. Cool, eh?
You know what's funny? I was gonna ask Gary, how is this dramatic? If we've got maybe one more day to try again, and then he bursts in with the lady with the gun and shoots us all down.
That was certainly dramatic. Look, usually they don't take that long, Paris. I will give that, but that was decent though. That was a whole mini story. That was fun.
Yeah.
I liked the bit where you told Eric he couldn't do anything for no reason.
Thanks, Gary.
Pretty dramatic.
Yeah. It was fun. I'll give you that. It didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I guess that's what that was you getting back at me for not making sense with Savage Riffs, right?
So what answer me this. What was there was a point, Eric, where you had a problem with Gary using investigation to look through cupboards. What was
investigation by Raw, the skill is to find information through newspapers or websites, that type of thing. To find something is notice. So
should have been notice.
Understood.
That was my bad. But I don't care. Screw you guys. This is my railroad.
Yeah.
Man, that was fun.
All right. That was fun. That brings up because the top of the show I mentioned that I have some issues with dramatic task, and I think it turned out well right now with Gary having a variation of skills from one round to another, because the rules as written say you pick one skill and you stick with that. And I've ran a lot of dramatic tasks, and I've used different skills like you did, and people have urged me to use different skills to make it more interesting. The problem with that is that what if in the first round, just looking for the ingredients with notice, investigation, whatever, Wanda, played by Paris, had scored like a 27, which would have given all 5 successes. Would that make sense with the narrative that just because she gathered the ingredients, we managed to bake the cake?
I would have rolled it like this. Had you succeeded and immediately, it would have been you open the cupboard and you find an angel food baking kit. And then you just book it next door and make the cake. That would have been it. You'd have been done. You succeeded. There'd been no cats getting out. There would have been no shotgun blasts from crazy redneck cat lady.
Yeah, because the kit could have had all the instructions written on it, and they were written in such a way that even an idiot could understand it.
Or, you know what would have been cool? You opened
amazingly complex ingredients like flour and vanilla.
No.
Vanilla,
Check it out.
because an angel food cake is just a vanilla cake.
You opened the fridge, and she's already got one made.
Yeah, that's true.
That would have been so dramatic.
So, anyways, that said, that really wasn't that dramatic. That took way too long. That was more stupid than anything, but you guys weren't really prepared for that. So, let me tell you about 2 cool dramatic tasks that I've run in my life, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned these before. First one, Starsky and Hutch game. This is where I fell in love with dramatic tasks. I have a bunch of players that are playing detectives in Starsky and Hutch world. Star City is the name of the place, and they're chasing down this bad guy, and he's running through alleys, he's jumping across cars, he's doing his deal. So he makes sort of the getaway a little bit as they're chasing him down. And as they come around the corner, they see this grandma in this old station wagon has creamed into this telephone pole because the bad guy that they were chasing jumped out in front of her. Now, he runs off into this like a salvage yard, a wrecking yard is where he ends up at. But grandma's car bursts into flames and she's pinned in the front seat. So this is where the dramatic tasks comes into play. I actually gave my players the agency to say you can just leave grandma burn in a pile of flames, but remember that you're police officers and you can carry on chasing the bad guy, or one of you can stop and help while the rest of you chase whatever they wanted to do. So the one guy that stopped and helped grandma in this flaming station wagon, I told him before he ever got into this car to help her out that she's pinned in there. And for you to go in and rescue her means that if you don't succeed, this car is going to ignite on fire and you will die in a station wagon blaze of fire. That was the dramatic part of all of it. So he just had to go into this thing, make a bunch of strength checks to get Grandma to pry her free from the car before it went up in flames. And then it's just, you know, when you're dealing with just one person and nobody else helping, it's just bam, bam, bam. Just lay the cards down, and he just had to roll the successive amount of times. But every time you lay the card down, I would narrate something happened. So if he succeeded, I'm like, sweet, you rip Grandma's dress off and unhook her from a certain spot or something like that. Then the next round, it's like you cut away the seat belt, and the third round was a complication or something like that. There's smoke and fire coming from the back, and it's starting to fill the cabin up, making you cough and wheeze and stuff. And then that's how I played it. Anyways, luckily he managed to rescue Grandma from the station wagon. That was one of the sort of really cool high tension ones. The other one that was a cooperative role was the one in the 50 Fathoms game where they were going down the gullet to go meet Tressa the Red. Each one of the players, I gave them a specific task. One of them had to hoist the sails. The other one had to steer the boat. Well, the steer the boat guy was the main guy. But all the other ones could help by using their boating skill on this boat to do other things. So one of them was, hoisting the sails in a specific way or moving them and manipulating them. The other one would be on the front of the boat, guiding them down, to avoid all of the rocks and stuff like that. So he would do a notice check. The other guy's doing a boating check. A third guy would be, doing something else. Maybe he's just like yelling commands or making sure the deck is clean or doing something like that. Every one of them had a task. And if they succeeded, then I would just accumulate those onto the boating roll, which was the captain's making the boating roll, and they had to make their way down. And they successfully made it to the bottom, but that's where my campaign ended anyway. But that was a lot of fun because at the table, it gives everybody something to do every round, and it's fast. Roll this, roll that, roll this, add it up. He makes his boating roll. They're a lot of fun, man. I'm telling you. Here's the thing too. In that dramatic task, the finale or the end result would have been they crashed the boat, so the whole ship is on the line. If they don't succeed as a group, they lose the entire boat that they're going down this gullet. The gullet is like rapids, and there's rocks and different debris and stuff like that as you go down to sort of the end part where Tressa the Red is in this sort of whirlpool kind of a deal, right? So they're going in a boat down rapids, trying to dodge rocks and steer this boat. And if they fail, the ship would have just been torn to pieces.
Cool.
All right. So, anyways, Eric.
No, that's good. I mean, for me, it was the problem that when you have a variation of skills that you use from round to round, and the other one that makes it not so dramatic is, like I said, if you succeed in the first two rounds, someone, the dice explode. I think even in the Savage Rifts game that we ran, I started a dramatic task, and in the second round, you guys had your 5 successes already. There was no failures from round to round. What makes it easier for dramatic task, of course, when there's cooperative roles. Looking back, I think if I'm going to run them again, well, I am going to run them again, but I think I will raise the difficulty of a dramatic task if cooperative roles are allowed, probably from -2 to -4, just because usually I run with large groups. If you have like 5 or 6 PCs in the session, chances are you're going to max out with your +4 cooperative roll every round. So -2 +4, it's a +2. It almost guarantees a success every round unless you get a complication. So it doesn't make it really dramatic to me when, all right, second roll, you guys, if you miss this, you're going to be in really bad spot. And then someone rolls a 25 or something like that, or a 36, and then, oops, all the tension is gone. I think it works great when it's down to the last round, just like when we ran it. Like, it's now or never. That's the last round, and that makes it dramatic to me. But when it's first round, you roll, that high, it just poof, burr, burr, burr. The tension is all gone.
That's why I like my Cuban cigar finger cutting idea. That really ramps up the tension. In fact, I'm actually probably going to bring something like that to the con. Tell me what you guys think about this. I'm thinking that I'm going to run like a circus carnival event, except you guys have to rescue Eric. He's one of your players. He's been taken off or something like that. The evil guy has taken Eric, and he's put him in one of those punching bags upside down. You know, the kind you got to hit really hard so that you can just it's like a speed bag, right? Then you hit it super hard and see how high of a number that you can get. Except
and that's my face.
Eric's face is going to be the punching bag. So not only do you get a roll to see how well you punch this thing on a strength test, you actually literally get to punch Eric in the head.
What's your problem with him today? Is Eric pissed on your chips this morning?
Eric's my favorite, man. That's why I wanted him to be so involved in this dramatic task.
Okay.
Why is a dramatic task 5 rounds? Why can't it be just 1 round? I guess this is
then
my
it would
problem.
just be a roll. Then it would just be a roll. That wouldn't be a dramatic task. That would just be a roll. That would just be a check.
You can't build a sufficient amount of tension in one roll. Trust me. Just ask my wife about sexy time. When it's over too quick, there's no drama.
That is actually a good analogy.
There's someone in Gary's bedroom flipping out cards waiting for a club.
Complication. Erection minimus. Oh.
Cramp. You get a cramp in your leg. All right. No, I think Gary's got a point there with you can't build tension with 1 round, but you can't build tension if someone rolls high on the first round either. So I guess it's not perfect.
But I'm sorry, I'm missing why we can't build tension. If we narrate tension, if we narrate a scenario, a situation, and guys, if you don't get this role, it's all over for whatever reason. Yeah, I must admit, I'm now losing after today's discussion. I'm losing the need for a dramatic task.
Yeah, no, because I don't think that scenario really helped. But what I'm going to say.
So all I have to say is mission accomplished.
I would say this. It's like one of those things in a film, right? It's just imagine somebody walking up to a chasm and then just jumping over it and doing it within a second in a movie, right? But then try to imagine a movie with the camera with him looking back. The camera looks at him, looks at the chasm, looks at him, looks at the chasm, you know, and it's doing this music and it's like dum 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 dum. He takes a step back. It looks at the camera, looks at his feet, and all of this, and it's trying to build tension. It's got to have a bit of time, a bit of build up, and that's kind of what the dramatic task is trying to achieve. It's doing it over a few rounds, and yeah, you could do that by describing something, but the dramatic task has you do that by doing something. That's the difference.
Yeah, I'm starting to lean toward Paris here, and starting to think dramatic tasks are rubbish.
Yeah, I am as well.
No, I don't think they're rubbish. I understand what they're trying to do, but the problem I've had, as Eric has pointed out, is you get an explosion of dice in the first round, and that wasn't dramatic. So what happened in the movie? The guy looked at the chasm. The guy looked at the camera, flipped the camera off with the bird, and jumped the chasm, and happy days.
I want to see this movie, but then the thing is, if you do one roll, that can still be dramatic, because whether you lose it or you do it, that one roll can still be dramatic. Whereas a dramatic task, if you ace it in the first round, it loses all the drama. But that doesn't happen when you do one roll. I think you're right, Paris.
Yeah, I would narrate it like this: the guy looks at the camera, looks at his feet, looks at the camera, looks at his chest. You see a giant red ass, and he just flies over the canyon.
Stop going back to the canyon example. My point is that I think Paris is right. There's more drama with one. There can be more drama from one role, and there's less scope for it all being destroyed. Oh no, we've realised now that dramatic tasks are rubbish.
Okay, mission accomplished. Let's wrap this sucker up for the second time.
So, what's next cast? We're going to debunk diplomatic. What's the diplomatic one?
Oh, social conflict.
Social conflict. Next
those actually
podcast will destroy that.
Yeah, those
actually. I don't know how to do that one either. So when do you want to do the social conflict episode?
No, social conflicts are crap.
Oh, so we love this game, yeah.
No, this has been such a disappointing. This has been such a disappointing episode. chase rules, social conflicts, dramatic tasks. They all suck. We might as well basically be Daniel Ducker or whatever the his name is. I mean, the thing is, we don't use any of this stuff anymore. I'm not even going to use dice anymore. This game.
We're just going to tell a story because we're on a railroad anyway. So we're all just going to sit around and listen to Papa Gary read his story.
I'm going to take a leaf out of Gary's book and tell people that they can't do stuff as well.
Oh man! So you just brought it up that building tension over multiple rounds just has a bigger impact than condensing it down to a single roll, and I think that is the basic idea behind dramatic tasks.
Yeah.
Sure, they include the possibility of people finishing it in the first round, but that would be like removing wildcard enemies from the game because, hey, your players can just roll a 45 on their damage roll and one-shot them on their first attack. That's not the point. The point is there should be the potential for the drama in dramatic task, for the tension, for the build-up. If it doesn't happen, that's going to be an amazing thing to happen for your players. They're going to be talking about that one for a while, because if you narrate the build up to the dramatic task in a sufficient way, they will be on the edge of their seats. They will be like, oh man, if we don't succeed in this, we are going to be so screwed. And if they nail it on the first roll, they are going to be like, I can't believe that happened. Woo! Taking victory laps around the table. That's not going to happen if you just do a single roll.
My experience is they'll go, are you serious? Is that it? Wouldn't it be better? What is it, Flash Gordon? They got a rule now where you only take 2 wounds max or something in a hit?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be better to have maximum of 2 successes in a round?
Yeah, sure, you could absolutely do that. That's the dramatic task as they are in the core book. That's the core rule, how it is introduced. What you do with it at your table, that's completely up to you. So you could run a dramatic task and just say, yeah, you can only score 1 or 2 successes per round. I'm doing something kind of like that with the next edition of Savage Shadowrun 2nd edition. We talked about that in the last episode of the Wild Die, where you have to go through all steps of the dramatic task process. Just because you scored enough successes doesn't mean you get it ends. And because you have to go through all steps, you can draw a clubs card on the last step, fail that roll, and everything comes crashing down.
Yeah, and
excellent summary, Gertrude.
See, that to me is dramatic.
Yeah, and with me, with my heist rules and Wise Guys, I'm working on kind of a reverse dramatic task where instead of needing to score 5 successes, you need to complete the 5 rounds before you score 3 strikes, 3 failures. So in that sense, it forces you to go through the whole process where if you fail, it's 1 strike, and if you roll critical failures, it's 2 strikes, and you have to succeed every part of the dramatic task, which called the heist. So if you go 1 round, first round, and you fail it, then you get 1 strike, but you have to attempt it again. So you can score 3 strikes in 1 round and fail it. Or you can, once you succeeded it, you move on to the second part of the task. So
you see, that to me is a dramatic task. What you're outlining there. Sorry to poo-poo this particular rule, but the more we've analysed and looked at it, the more I'm wanting to walk away from what I'm seeing in the book and go more with what you guys are talking about.
As much as I was joking about earlier, I do agree with Manuel that people do tend to remember the sort of the times where it did get really tense. And although you've said that people at your table say, is that it? I think it does come down to the narration a little bit as well. When I've had people succeed in it really soon, I tend to sort of narrate how much they absolutely smashed it and things like this, and it would be awesome.
Yeah.
And then I've had ones that have been protracted, and it's been awesome, and it's like come down to the absolute wire, and that's when it really works, and people have absolutely loved it. Like the card game.
Yeah, it's hit or miss.
Yeah, it's hit or miss.
Yeah, it's hit or miss.
But when it hits, it's so awesome.
You could just do what I do. Just tell them how they feel about the situation.
Yeah, and tell them they can't do anything. You're crying right now. You can't do anything.
That's what I do.
Right.
See how easy
Too many successes. You're not tense enough. I'm taking them all away.
To actually sort of bookend this though, earlier on we were talking about angel food cake, right? And I was looking at pictures of cake on the internet, and it is now 2:00, and I'm hungover and I'm hungry.
Yo, motherfuckers, you all best back up. I always got a gun, I always come strap up. What I'm trying to say is it's time for the wrap up. Yeah, this one goes out to all the ladies and all the men out there. Everyone in the front row, grease up. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Here we are in the wrap-up segment. Hi everyone.
We're back.
It's like a whole new podcast.
This looks a lot like the porno section at Blockbuster.
It really does, doesn't it? Wow.
Wait, is this... Hold on, isn't this the bit where we listen to the Savage Worlds GM cast where they fix what we up the first time?
Yeah, they probably have an episode. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to have a dramatic task episode and they go, that idiot Paris. All right.
Well, this is why we have to keep doing this podcast, because otherwise they wouldn't have ideas for segments.
They wouldn't have any material.
Let's go through everything that Gary did wrong when he ran this dramatic task.
That's why they're getting the Enny and not us.
They're gonna have months of material with that one. I think they should analyze all the stupid stuff I say on this podcast. Then they'll be set for life. Jesus Christ. But there you go, Savage GM Hangouts. There's plenty of material for you there. And I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, everybody. And sorry, basically, just sorry to everybody.
Sorry this happened. Sorry, Gary happened.
Yeah, and also I want to say a big shout out to the Ennies. I think you do great work. Please God, give us an award. I know we don't deserve it, but give us one anyway. Next year, man, we're coming for it. So if you want to contact us, you can do. We're at, obviously, various places. For example, thewilddie@gmail.com. That is our email address. We're on Google+, Facebook, YouTube, and all of that stuff is The Wild Die Podcast. And we're on the Nerds International community. If you want to mingle with us, you can do that. And we've got Twitter, which is @TheWildDie. And, of course, at this point, we would like to thank our Patreon patrons with the following song.
Sean Richard, Jason Connolly, J. Raz Alan Bray, Mr. Stag, Conrad Erasmus Neubert, Corey Dersham, Pure Mongrel, Sophia, Rob Tau, CJ Stott, Bubbles, Peter Adams, Gil Dashard, John Peterson, yeah. Here I go. Yes. 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 Get your boys on march, I'm right there on the spot like Lunchables, cause boys like you trying to take the biscuit, trying to bash me up while you're betting on Ripkit.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, such a funny
well
song.
done, chaps.
Oh, good times. Shut up. I love that Paris is really laughing now. We did our fake laughter. Now he's really laughing.
Only Manuel looks slightly annoyed. I think he's gonna be leaving the show soon.
This episode's gonna be like 10 minutes long in it once you cut it all.
I'm gonna try to make it even shorter, hopefully. Oh, Christ. This was hell.
This is Betty saying, grab your sword by the balls.
I'm not doing that. This is Alexis saying, grapple the skies.
This is Manuel saying, I have no idea what I'm still doing here.
This is Paris saying, every game you knock back is one you can't catch up on.
I don't know what that means. It's a little too deep for me. But anyways, yeah, this is Gary. Keep your pants on, man. Keep it fun. Thanks, everybody. We're out. Thank goodness.
The Wild Die Podcast is not affiliated with or endorsed by Pinnacle Entertainment Group or official Pinnacle licensees. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of the respected owners. All music and artwork is used with permission of Pinnacle Entertainment Group. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of the Wild Die Podcast.